I'm joined by Brent Warrington, CEO at Hyperwallet. Welcome. I mean, because it's interesting, when you think about companies like Uber, a big part of their value proposition is that for consumers, making the payment is so easy, but it feels like they haven't put as much effort into making the payout to the contractors as easy.
No doubt. Look, I think this was something that was probably didn't have a lot of thought put towards it as we were creating a simplistic way to acquire around the world and set up businesses and kind of the collaborative economy. You really have, at the end of the day, you have good bones as far as a payout platform, let's call it a global ACH network or however you piece it together, but there really hasn't been until Hyperwallet created its platform, a very simple way driven by a set of APIs to complete the loop, right? So we have simple API acceptance acquiring globally for businesses, and it doesn't have to be Uber. Even the smallest businesses aspire to be global, right? Everybody has global aspirations, so being able to accept a payment, then more importantly, being able to close the loop of payments around the cycle, I kind of call it the completion of the cycle, and by the way, which is fairly complex compared to acquiring, just because we're dealing with compliance and KYC and AML and MTL, so being able to navigate the compliance landscape is a big part of this as well. When you're dealing with businesses of any size, it doesn't even have to be at Uber. It could be the smallest startup marketplace. If you want to be able to engage independent workers in another country, you rarely do these businesses at any scale have the expertise to be able to manage through the compliance landscape. And that's just part of the services and the platform of what we offer. But at the end of the day, we're a complete turnkey API-driven solution that gives people the ability to pay out anywhere in the world, real time.
Is it fair to say that these collaborative consumption sort of companies, as they're trying to pay their workers, they're sort of poorly served by existing financial services because they just can't handle that sort of complexity of payout?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, for collaborative companies, there's actually one of the challenges they have is that if they were going to bring somebody traditionally into their ecosystem, they have to have a bank account, they have to go through a sign-up process, they have to go through a KYC process, and by the way, they lose a high percentage of their contract workers through that process because they just flame out if they don't have a bank account, right? Yeah. So we completely eliminate the need for that in what we do. So it doesn't matter, once again, what infrastructure exists in whatever country you're engaging in. If you have a bank account, you're banked or unbanked, whatever level of sophistication you are personally, financially, and how you manage your business, we handle all that. And more importantly, through our platform, we give tools to the 1099, the collaborative worker. We give them, like it's mentioned, like tax preparation. Right. So there's a lot of things when you become a small business that you just don't understand. And where a lot of 1099s get themselves in trouble is they overlook and don't think about tax implications, how to write off expenses. So we have tools that wrap around. Mm-hmm. So we're more than just paying you. We're literally enabling the 1099 and giving them the tools they need to be successful as an independent collaborative worker.
Okay, and I think the opportunity around this is clear, and consumers are voting with their feet, as you see from the growth of companies like Uber. Yeah. Do you have any kind of concerns about the industry in terms of how it's regulated, or anything that's sort of holding it back from achieving its full potential?
No, I look at the regulations. I sort of leave it as to it is what it is. I mean, we've certainly figured out a way to navigate our way through it successfully with our partners. Look, you have to, part of the commitment investment you make in a business like ours when you're committed to be in 170 plus countries and operate through 30 plus currencies is you just have to understand what's happening at any part on the globe at any one point in time and react to it. But look, I will say this: the regulations that exist today, whether it be U.S. domestic or globally, are also there to provide protection, consumer protection as well. So Hyperwallet isn't here to change the world and reinvent compliance and regulation. What we've done is create a very simple, frictionless way for any business to operate within a very highly regulated environment.
Do you feel like there are any gaps that people aren't really addressing, or somewhere you'd like to see more innovation, not necessarily in just prepaid?
Yeah, look, we're always seeking innovation around compliance. I think the process of KYC compliance and boarding customers globally is something that we will continue to see innovation and investment. But once again, it's very complex. If you're going to have to do KYC on somebody on the other side of the planet and you're a small startup marketplace in San Francisco, How do you do it, right? You're not going to do it. That being said, until you have, you've gone through the KYC process, depending on what your product or services are, you can't bring them in your ecosystem to sell your goods and services. So if it takes you 30 days to do KYC on a collaborative worker before they can actually be productive for you, that's a cycle that has to be collapsed. So today in the world of Hyperwallet, we use our own proprietary platform, but more importantly, we pull from sources around the world to simplify that process. But it's tough, it's hard work. It's a hard part of our business. But it is our social and corporate responsibility to help our customers through KYC and compliance, because that's where we get in trouble, right? I mean, we can all write code, and we can all create things, but I think that's the part that everybody sort of underestimates whenever they start a payments business or get in this space, is the complexity of the regulatory and the compliance side of this business. It's almost overwhelming. So you have to sort of persevere through that and play within a set of rules. And by the way, there's no one rule. Yeah. There's thousands of rules, and they all vary by country or continent or geography, and they're ever changing. So it's complex. It is complex, which is why I think in our industry as it continues to evolve, we will see more consolidation. We will see more hardened businesses who understand global compliance, cross-border. This is absorbing more, let's call it startup technology companies, and then moving them into their distribution, their ecosystem.
Okay, and I mean, that complexity means there's a lot of opportunity for innovation still.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there are any verticals specifically in payments that are sort of overhyped, or where there are too many startups kind of throwing themselves at for there to be, a viable opportunity?
Yeah, well, I mean, since I'm on the other side, I can throw all the darts I want at the acquiring side. I think MPOS is played out. I mean, it's table stakes at this point. I know there's a lot of new shinier MPOS type solutions and hardware here at the end of the day, but it's sort of played out a little bit, and it's sort of table stakes at this point. I mean, tablet-based or mobile acceptance acquiring transactions, it's table stakes. So yeah, look, I don't know. I think the next wave of payments will be consolidation. I don't think we will see another wave of innovation as it relates to the point of sale. I do think we'll continue to see more people who are focused on the payout side of the business and simplifying, the overall infrastructure globally. I do believe there'll be more collaboration between countries as it relates to payments because the borders are becoming more and more transparent. Having been in this business as long as I've been in it, used to be, back in the early days, pre-Y2K, cross-border payment was next to impossible. It's kind of somewhat table stakes today, but that being said, there is still probably a fairly kludgy, if you were to kind of elevate yourself above the earth and look down at the flow of cross-border payments, there's still some simplification that needs to be had, but it hasn't slowed us up. We literally today can pay out anywhere real time, just by using the acceleration of the Hyperwallet platform.
Okay, I mean, I think helicoptering above and maintaining that perspective is really important in this business, especially when you're dealing with people, right? Yeah.
Look, it's when it's one thing if you're just doing business in the U.S., that's one thing, with a degree of complexity. But when you're in 170 plus countries, it's it's always, everything is always on our radar.
Yeah, and I guess with tech, companies are finding it easier to become global faster.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I can get one prediction from you for next year, payments, breakout technology, or something to watch out for?
There will be new MPOSs of a different color, and there will be a different shape. And a lot of the startups that are here this year won't be here, but the show will be bigger.